My so-called best friend ruined my life after I helped her make millions. You would not believe she stole my entire wealth and left me completely shattered. Megan, my best friend from high school, had a dream, and I also shared that vision with her. It's funny because we pretty much grew up in the same house. I was more practical, while Megan was the one that had big ideas, but they never did get executed. That is where I stepped in. We spent years talking about building a business that would fund both of our Pulitzer Prize-winning dreams. Life had other plans, though. I ended up getting a boring marketing job while Megan took a jump from one dead-end job to a new one every few weeks, chasing half-baked ideas that never clicked. But everything changed when lower single-digit IQ versions of us decided to go out. She actually came up to me, and thankfully had a solid plan. A plan that was both elaborate and realistic, something that could actually allow us to make money. "Look," she exclaimed in excitement as she revealed her research and projections. "This is it, Emma. This is the idea that is going to change everything." I was always skeptical, and this time was no different. I really thought Megan would pull one of her wild schemes. But with Megan's new tech startup concept, which was a platform designed to connect small businesses with freelance digital services, I started seeing the potential. It was simple and elegant. It also filled a gap in the market that no one had tapped into. Given my marketing and business development background, I knew that we could make this work. Megan, on the other hand, had the vision and creative spark to make the platform stand out. This is why I thought we made a perfect team. Or so I thought. For months, we were tirelessly working on the business plan. While Megan was out there chatting with potential investors and partners, I was working in the shadows and setting the infrastructure. I reached out to my industry contacts to help us secure first clients. Then, I spent countless hours developing the website, crafting the user interface, and launching ads for our new platform. Megan was the face of the company, and I was more than happy to let her take that role. She was charismatic, magnetic, and knew how to sell a vision in a way that I could never. But I always stood behind knowing that I was the one who gave that dream life. And it all worked out. In no time, we had investors interested, and within a year, our startup was starting to turn heads in the industry. We got featured in magazines, asked to speak at conferences, and soon enough the money started coming in. It wasn't just a success, it was a sensational success, and we both knew it. For a period of time, everything was as good as it gets. We were earning more than we had imagined, and the bond we shared was unbreakable, at least that is what I thought. Looking back now, it is clear there were signs, small cracks that I was oblivious to. Some of the comments or actions Megan did suggested something much more sinister. Something that was rather money-driven and self-serving. It began with the meetings. Initially, every single task was completed as a unit. Bringing in investors, developing features for the platform, planning out the company goals and vision for the future. However, over time Megan began to distance herself. She started important meetings without me, then telling me later that she didn't want to bother me with the details. I tried to convince myself that she was trying to be considerate. However, this started happening more often. She began attending investor dinners by herself, speaking with our biggest clients without me, and making company decisions independently. When I asked her about it, she claimed it was all in the best interest of the company and that I should be more relaxed. "I simply want to ensure that we are prepared for whatever may come our way," she would say while flashing that beautiful smile of hers. "You've worked so much behind the curtains. Permit me to take care of this section." I believe she was telling the truth. After all, she is my best friend, so what could go wrong, right? Each passing month made me feel as though my incorporation is turning out to be my own personal prison. I was putting all of the necessary effort in, if not more, but it was Megan who seemed to capture everyone's gaze, receive all of the compliments, and, as I would later come to know, all of the winnings too. That day can only be equated to that horrible feeling when you get punched in the stomach. It was an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. I was processing some files for the company such as their finances, legal stuff, and contracts. Normal business for me, you know? But while I was watching those files, I began spotting inconsistencies. Megan's name is the only one listed on the owning documents of the company. That could not have been correct. It's hard to fathom, but I remember we had built this company as partners. We even agreed on a 50-50 split. I proceeded to sort through a plethora of documents, scrutinizing the filings, the details of the company structure, anything and everything I could find. And there it was, etched in black ink on white paper. Megan owned 100% of company. There was no mention of my name, no place allocated for a co-founder, nor was there an option for an investor. Nothing. I felt nauseous. How was this even possible? What the hell went wrong? I rushed to call my Megan, and as I dialed her number, my hands trembled violently. Unsurprisingly, she did not pick up. I ended up leaving a message, and mind you, it took every ounce of strength to keep my voice from wavering, but with every second, I felt like I was ready to burst. I had given her my all, my time, my energy, my skills. We built this company together, so how could it feel like I had vanished into thin air? After a few days, Megan was still unresponsive. She was never at her office, and whenever I called, she was always either busy or out of the country. I reached out through emails and texts but received no replies. The woman who I once considered to be my closest friend, who had all my hopes and aspirations with me, was not in contact anymore. I soon started to hear from the grapevine. Megan was attending exclusive parties to which she has been invited by high-profile vanguards while talking about expanding the firm internationally. The worst part was she took all the glory for everything we created as a team. And to think of it, she did not even bother to acknowledge me. But more than anger, in reality, I was heartbroken. Am I supposed to accept the things that Megan, my closest friend and teammate in doing all the wrongdoings, has done? How can one share such a deep and horrifying betrayal? For the next couple of weeks, I tried to come up with a plan, all the while remaining in shock. Every last penny that I had earned, every single hour that I spent working, every ounce of energy I put in, these were all things I devoted to the dream that we both worked for tirelessly. Everything that we both showed is now abandoned. I was left with nothing. All of it was snatched, everything disappeared, and Megan took it all. As the shock began to wear off, it was replaced by something else, determination. Megan may have blindsided me, but it wasn't something I was going to let happen without a fight. I had worked too hard and sacrificed too much to just let this go. I was going to battle back. I was going to get my property. If you're not subscribed to our channel, the chances you see it again are slim. But if you are, congratulations. You can now access the most captivating stories at your convenience. As I began to dwell on everything that had happened, I was beginning to be filled with rage rather than devastation. It wasn't all about the money, although that was still a bitter loss. It was the betrayal that dug the deepest. We were supposed to be a team, but it was clear in that moment Megan had ditched me without even a second thought. I couldn't afford to sit back passively on this one. Allowing her to walk away unscathed while erasing my efforts in the company was unjust. Simply put, I was owed compensation, and in times where I feel wronged, justice must be served. Finding a lawyer was essential, so I did just that. After some searching, I was able to get in touch with Amy, a Chicago-based attorney without any nonsense. When I discussed the situation with her, explaining how Megan cut me out of the ownership after doing all the groundwork, she instantly offered help. "I'll do everything I can to help you," were her first words to me. The way she spoke made me feel as though I could trust her, and that's exactly what I ended up doing. She continued to say, "Any fraud or deception that has been done will be uncovered." Deception. The one word that resonated with me. It was so simple yet so powerful. At the end of the day, that is exactly what Megan did. Seeing all her efforts while I worked late shifts made me trust her blindly, which turned out to be a massive mistake. First, Amy looked into the legal and financial details of the company. I was not able to do this much on my own, but when she started snooping, the truth came out. Megan had been stealthily altering the company's ownership network over a period of months. She had consistently been shifting assets into her name, taking my signature off key paperwork, and even drafting new contracts that completely excluded me. All of this had been executed very quietly, in such a subtle fashion that by the time I realized it, it was too late. "It's classic corporate betrayal," Amy said during one of our meetings. "Megan's been set on this for some time. But don't worry, you have emails, text messages, contracts. There's more than enough information proving you were a partial owner. We can prove you were part of the founding team." I nodded, feeling relief but anger at the same time. While I am glad I have a fighting chance, the fact that I have to go through this, for a lack of better terms, against a close friend, is quite frankly depressing. I attempted to tackle Megan once more. This time, I did not care about being courteous. I phoned, emailed, and even turned up at her office again, with Amy as my companion. I refused to be dismissed. I needed to know. When we got the office, the receptionist informed us that Megan was unavailable. I knew that she was lying. It was obvious that Megan was avoiding me. She had been from the moment I uncovered the reality. Amy said, "Tell her we are here for official business. Megan will want to speak with us before things spiral out of control," she said with an edge. The receptionist, who smiled timidly at us, vanished out of the smiling. A few minutes later, Megan came out with an empty-looking expression, but the tension in her gaze gave her away. She was not confident like she used to be. "Emma," was all she said, her tone as flat as a ruler. "I've been trying to get in contact." "Have you?" I replied, full of anger. From under the surface, there was a bubbling feeling just waiting to emerge. "Because it looks like you've been doing everything in your power to avoid me." Megan shot a glance towards Amy and seemed uncomfortable. "Is it possible for us to talk privately?" "Whatever you want to tell me can be shared in front of my lawyer," I said, very clearly. Megan's jaw grew tight. For a second, I assumed she was going to try to push back against the idea. However, she then simply nodded. Leading us to a conference room, she sat down across from us. Her eyes moved between Amy and me, attempting to assess the situation. "Let's cut to the chase, Megan," I said, leaning in. "You excluded me from the company. You have been taking advantage of me for months, maybe even years. And now you act innocent? What is the matter with you? /in her expression turned grim, and her artificial politeness disappeared. /in, it's not like that, she snapped. You don't know how business works, Emma. I had to make the decisions that were best for the company. /in best for the company? I scoffed, hoping I would not raise my voice any further. Or best for you. You unbundled everything we worked for together like it was a present and claimed it as your own. You erased me from something that I helped build. /in Megan squinted. /in, you weren't pulling your weight, Emma. You chose to remain in the background and let me do all of the work. I built this company, not you. /in, I wasn't pulling my weight? I was doing everything that took place behind the curtain. The marketing, the branding, the infra, none of that would have ever come into fruition, and you know it. /in her words felt like a punch to the gut. I'm not the one who made this company successful. It's you who chose to copy other reputable entrepreneurs and set a lower benchmark. /in perhaps, she said, shivering, stirring away, but I'm the one who propelled it to the next level. I negotiated the contracts, recruited the investors, and built a viable business. You were holding us back. My stomach sank. It wasn't just the betrayal anymore, it was the sheer arrogance, the fact that she had managed to retell the story in such a way that she was the one responsible for everything and completely erased my efforts to support her from the narrative. Step aside, Megan. You may have tried to push Emma out, but legally, she has a claim. Let me begin by confirming that we do have documentation that proves Emma is a co-founder and an equal partner in the business. You may have tried to push her out, but from a legal standpoint, she has a claim to a substantial share of the company. Amy spoke firmly, clearly, and panicked my heart. Megan rolled her eyes. There was something in her face that deeply disturbed me. She was looking worse and worse deflated. I'm not some clueless person, Megan. I'm not going to let you ruin everything I've worked for. Infuriating. You saw the cut on her thumb, didn't you? I'm not trying to ruin anything, I exclaimed in anger. I just want what's rightfully mine. Megan, let's speak bluntly. You've taken everything from me, and I'll be damned if I let you get away with it. Listen, it is better if you do not say anything, she muttered. Her expression shifted suddenly, unwilling to infuse anything into the tension in the room. You won't win this, Emma. I have got the investors behind me. No one will. No one was on your side. Everything around us was silent, and her words were like ice, cutting through the last shred of hope I had that, just maybe, there was still some part of Megan that cared about our friendship. Then I suppose we'll meet in court, said Amy, standing up. And believe me, the result will not be in your favor. The next few weeks were the worst of my life. Amy desperately sued Megan with the hope that I would be regarded as a co-founder and receive a reasonable portion of profits. We anxiously prepared for a long fight, knowing Megan wouldn't make it easy for us. I knew that I didn't have to give up. Not now, and not after everything she has put me through. The range of emotions I felt during this period can only be described as a whirlpool: frustration, anger, sadness, and determination. How could it have come to this? The business that I helped build alongside my best friend was lost. The world as I knew it turned upside down. One thing was certain, I was not going to let Megan win. After everything I had worked for, I was not just going to walk away with nothing. As the court approaches, me and Amy tried to gather as much evidence as possible in the form of emails, contracts, and documents that showed my involvement from the start. Our strategy was strong, and I certainly intended on seeing it through, no matter how long it took. Megan certainly had me underestimated. She thought she could dismiss me like that I would disappear into the background. But she was mistaken. I was going to reclaim what belonged to me. The day of the hearing arrived, and I was a bundle of nerves. I had hardly slept the day before, with my mind in absolute turmoil as I thought of the confrontation. Everything I had worked for, the business, financial stability, and even a sense of self were all at risk. It was not just a matter of legality, it was super personal. Megan had stripped me completely, and I wasn't about to let her walk away without battle. I was seated in court with my attorney, Amy. Megan had taken a seat opposite us, along with her intimidating legal entourage. She appeared to be as self-assured as usual, with the same smug smile plastered on her face as it was when we last spoke. She looked as if she did not believe for a second that I would win this. But today was not for compassion. Today was for fairness. The gavel met the block, and with it, my hope of winning this case was torn down within seconds. Megan's legal team started first by poorly depicting her as the one who came up with all the ideas for the business and worked tirelessly to make it successful. They stripped me of my achievement by presenting me as some sort of deadweight, a partner who added no value whatsoever to the company in any manner. This sickening contradiction of truth made me want to smash the wall, yet I remained calm. I was conscious my lawyer was more than capable of retaliating with solid evidence against their slanderous claims. Amy stood from her seat when it was finally our turn. Looking calm and in control of the room as always, she simply stated the facts. We can confirm that Ms. Foster was a co-founder of the firm, and she also played a key role in its growth and success, Amy began, her voice unwavering and compelled. She served at the forefront by strategically managing marketing and business development in addition to enabling the company's expansion. Emails, contracts, and other financial documents will show that Ms. Foster did make significant contributions in that MS. Megan Lorne premeditatedly made out her to be a non-entity in the company, Amy's provided. Amy now proceeded to the next stage, which provided a more personalized narrative. She explained building the business with me and furnished the emails with Megan. She provided financial records of my known involvement in building the company as well as the funds I poured into it. Then, she sprang the heart of the matter concerning Megan's betrayal, the documents that became legal over time, the increasing absence of my name, the private discussions that went on, the perjured documents. Megan's confident front started to shatter as the evidence mounted against her. I noticed her shifting uncomfortably in her seat and her face becoming taut as Amy worked on her case step by step. We aren't just discussing a commercial engagement, Amy went on. This is a clear case of treachery. Ms. Foster put her trust in Ms. Lorne, who was her best friend, and shared a vision with her. Instead, she was deceived. Ms. Lorne took advantage of that trust and removed Ms. Foster from the company, leaving her with nothing. When Amy concluded her session, I could feel that something had changed in the courtroom. Megan's lawyer sought to mitigate our allegations, but they were indisputable. The documents, the emails, the financial information, they all corroborated Megan's treachery. It wasn't just that she removed me from the company, she had taken everything from me. Megan was the last to take the stand. I was overwhelmed with rage and disappointment as I saw her take the oath and sit. This is a woman I considered my closest friend. We had achieved something remarkable and now we are in court, battling over something that should have been rightfully shared. Once the questioning commenced, Megan started losing her confidence. She attempted to play down my part by stating that I did not contribute as much as I claimed. But when Amy produced the contracts that Megan had forged to exclude me from the company's ownership, she was forced to confess the reality. She struggled to explain her reasoning, which made her voice quiver. I did not expect this to happen, she stated. It was never my intention to exclude Emma. However, the business was changing so rapidly and I really thought I could do it all by myself. I figured her to be empty. An endless lack of compassion has edges, and I have grown old enough to brace it now. Megan had indeed planned this. She never intended to double-cross me from the get-go, but somewhere down the line, it did end up happening, and as far as she was concerned, her achievements mattered more than whatever friendship we had. The company was hers. What more needed to be said? As soon as the judge spoke the verdict, I was almost hyperventilating. My heart was on the verge of exploding, and my only focus was awaiting the judge's final words. Considering the evidence, the court accepts Ms. Foster's claims, said the judge. His voice was steady and calm. Ms. Foster shall go with her portion of the company along with the money for the emotional and financial distress resulting from Ms. Lorne's actions. I let out a breath that I did not realize I had been holding. I had won. I fought back and I won. The relief surging through my body was a lot, but so was the grief. The victory didn't feel as good as I wanted it to. Yes, I was getting what I rightfully deserved. My portion of the company, the respect for my work, but the price was steep. I had, in a way, lost my best friend. Megan stood at the other side of the courtroom looking pale, expressionless, and blank. She didn't glance at me. I thought that, for a moment, she might extend an apology. But instead, she averted her gaze and then turned out of the courtroom without saying a single word. The combination of feeling happy and sad made me watch her leave, and that is when I experienced it. Over the next few weeks, I was able to take back control of my life. The company's equity I was entitled to was awarded to me, and I won a court case which granted me a generous monetary settlement. This was enough to start over and reconstruct everything that Megan had stripped away from me. But money was never the real issue. The issue was that I had an opportunity to stand up for me, for the first time since the betrayal came. More importantly, I had managed to win the fight. I went all in on my brand new business projects, making use of the skills I already possessed. This time I created something that was truly mine. And in the end, I knew the struggles were worth the effort because I was indeed stronger. When it comes to Megan, I never received any further correspondence from her. It's as if, to quote the saying, she went out of the window and never came back into my life. The company we built together ceased to exist for her because it's simply another portion of her history, one that she cannot claim to have complete ownership over. It's hard to accept that we fell apart from being two friends chasing a shared dream. One thing I learned is that trusting someone is costly, and once it's broken, it becomes impossible to repair. And as much as losing Megan stings, I understand that living my life under that betrayal would be worse. While I had lost a lot, the most important prize was winning back my dignity and faith in myself. I knew I could stand on my own. The people closest to me let me down, but I managed to let go.